Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Healthy, Happy, Wise, Wealthy. I have with us today Toby Blatchford-Tagg of the Lead Lab. So, Toby is out of the UK and he's doing international business, which I love. And I'm doing some international business too, Toby, because I work with a company called Mindy, which is out of India, and they make all kinds of great websites or do whatever cloud services, IT services, and they even build some hardware. So if companies
Nice.
need that to launch, they can do that. So international business seems to be a thing for sure.
Yeah. And
We
and you
need
need
each
the tech
other.
to support that, so they sound like a good fit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The whole thing. So the Lead Lab has been going on for 16, 17 years, you said?
Yeah,
Uh,
correct, yeah, and, we used to be 6, 7 years ago, used to be a telemarketing company code called B2B, um, but we found an opportunity where we were doing manual outreach on LinkedIn, via our team, our international team at the time, and, we just realized that we weren't doing telemarketing ourselves. Um, we were getting it at cost. So the ability to generate leads at a much lower cost via LinkedIn just became our whole business, really. And over time, we've really flipped from like 90% code calling 6, 7 years ago to 90% LinkedIn automation at scale. And we still do a little bit of telemarketing, but it's more like a hot lead follow up rather than code calling, as that's just a bit of a
yeah.
dying art these days. Um, but yeah, we help clients with one man bands with one or two profiles looking to do outreach at scale, all done for them. And we have clients that turn over 150 million, and they've got 100 of their sales reps on the system. So that it works at both ends of this of the spectrum, really.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
And you kind of know that LinkedIn is a good place to go to
yeah,
find clients if you're working with that B2B or business to business, in case someone doesn't know what B2B is.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Sorry,
but I think, well,
you
I
never
do
know.
well. I In this podcast, I actually cover things that are like around health and wellness, so that might be just
Oh,
cut
okay.
things that people need, and then a lot of like, I'd love to see more people, especially as the world is, go ahead and start a business. So if
Yeah,
they have any inclination to do so,
yeah. Well, again, from a mental health point of view, doing telemarketing can be very stressful. So LinkedIn automation is all done for you. You don't have to think about it. So if you ever are starting a business, it can be helpful to have that lead flow without another stress on top of you, which is obviously not ideal for anyone's health. To be honest with you, stress is tough enough as it is, right?
yeah. Well, and picking up the phone sometimes to just try to just call leads can be challenging for sure. I
So
think everyone
challenging.
has, yeah. I work with all kinds of people that are I had mentioned the when I moved to Reno a couple years ago,
Nice.
so for family, and so yeah, I'm even farther away from the UK with the timeline, but with time zone. But I did marketing, and so when I did that, and I started meeting all kinds of business owners, and I realized that marketing means so many different things.
So
So
true.
it's such a I think when you're starting out, this is the first time I've had anyone on who did, and this is kind of like it's marketing, but it's also it bridges that gap to kind of like direct sales almost, don't you think?
Yeah, lead
What you guys
generation.
do,
To be clear,
lead
yeah,
generation, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
It's like you say, it can be so different to marketing, because content, branding, all that sort of thing is it's all marketing, right? But like lead generation marketing is very different to those other things.
yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Well, and
it's
explain why you think it's very different.
well, yeah. I mean, people pay us for outreach, right? So they pay us to take multiple profiles, manage the data, and get people to say, "This is interesting. Tell me more," or "How much is it?" When people do brand marketing, they're positioning a company for how it's perceived and how people look at it when they see the brand, as opposed to an instant gratification of a positive response, which is obviously the different of what we do. We wouldn't be
Mhm.
content creators, whether it be branding or posting or anything like that. We do obviously have a lot of experience in writing the messaging journeys to get people to respond, and that is a fine art form. Don't get me wrong, but it's very
Yeah.
niche and unique to get people to respond. And we've worked across so many different sectors. We've had um, everything from CRM systems that cost £100,000 to life insurance policies for business owners, whiskey investment, CRM systems, logistics, security, anyone whose target market's on LinkedIn, which is a lot of people, right?
Yeah, which is a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly
so
that.
yeah, so the B2B clients, so the B2C, so if you're selling like
Consumer.
a product online,
Yeah.
LinkedIn marketing isn't necessarily what you want to do. But when you're doing is like, okay, so the example you gave, I actually like a great option,
Yeah, well, in
you
the
know.
UK, they have a thing called relevant life cover, which basically means you can have your life insurance through your business, which is obviously a totally legal tax break. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. Although it's a consumer product, it's sort of through the business. And we do sell
Yeah,
some like high net worth consumer products via LinkedIn, but it's not like your average products. It'll be you know like, high whiskey investment or executive travel, that sort of thing.
yeah. So have you found LinkedIn has continued to grow over the years with?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the amount of people on LinkedIn every year grows quite dramatically. Now, I've got to caveat that with a couple of years ago, they brought in a thing called Persona. I think they had a really big problem with people creating fake accounts. I know that
Oh,
because I saw that and they were used for sales purposes and that sort of thing. But they brought in a thing called Persona a couple of years ago, which basically means if you do any connecting and messaging of any sort of volume, at some point they're going to say, show me your ID so that I know you're a real person. Um, got rid of actually millions of accounts on there where people were just farming and doing lead generation from made up accounts that just pulled out of thin air, believe it or not, with AI photos and that sort of thing. So, again, there's new businesses born every day, and those business owners need to start somewhere, and LinkedIn's a great starting point.
yeah. So that's really great. So when you guys made the transition from doing cold calling to LinkedIn, what is, what is it that makes it work? Like, what is it with the messaging that
You know what it
helps
is? I think
that
so.
gets people to
So the
click?
messaging wise, it's really about being concise and quick. Like if someone's going through their LinkedIn inbox, realistically, they might have 3 or 4 messages in there. You have got 2 or 3 seconds to get their attention in that message. And if you don't, we're all selfish human beings, and we'll read those
Mhm.
messages to see if there's something for us in those messages. That's how the
Sure.
psychology works. It's just natural, right? And in that first message or first line or two, you get their attention. They will read the rest. And how you get their attention is explaining very quickly the benefit you can give them. Um, the common mistake people make is they'll list their what they've done, and oh, I've worked with this company, this company. No one cares. They care how it's going to benefit them. So you can communicate that very quickly, whether it's a CRM system or a lead generation company or whatever it may be. Communicating the benefit to them really quickly is really important to get them to read the rest of the message and then respond or not if they're interested. Um, we do webinars every 2 or 3 weeks, just trying to give free advice to either small business owners or marketing directors, MDs, whatever. Um, and that's one of the big bits we give them is that, getting the first line or two is really important. Same as social media posting, that sort of thing. They call it like a hook.
Mhm.
It's a similar principle, but also has to look like a message that was written for that person. As soon as it looks like a pre-written message, you're not going to get response. So there's an art form in that as well. Um, Number of things really you can do, but that's the core thing. We often recommend clients to use like AI to get started. Someone might be thinking, "Oh, I want to do a 2 or 3 message campaign on LinkedIn myself." Maybe even manually send them, but they're like, "I don't know what to say. I understand my business, but." You can use AI tools just to give you a starting point. You can upload
Mhm.
your website, you can upload your sales deck and say, look, give me a 3-step message journey that I want to target some people, and it will write it for you. Now, what you'll find is that won't look perfect because it's going to look like AI wrote it. But I think a lot of people, when they're starting out, it's a bit of a mental block. Maybe they're not in marketing, they
Right.
don't have a marketing background, so they don't
Yeah.
really know where to start. So it's a really good, there's things like DeepSeek or, you can use Grok or ChatGPT, any of those things, just to give you that starting point. I think that's a really powerful thing in AI to help people break the ice when they don't really know how to.
Yeah. Well, I from working with business owners and even people that are 1099, it
Yeah.
does seem like marketing is a big wide pool of, they feel like, yuck, like they just don't
Yeah, yeah,
they just
totally.
don't know what to do with it, and
Yeah.
a lot of people feel they brag about not using growing without marketing, and I don't agree with that method. I think there's
Mm.
a certain point that if you're gonna grow, you're gonna have to do some marketing,
100%. And
you
all
know?
good businesses are built on multiple marketing pillars. If you're
Yeah.
gonna achieve anything of any stature, and, if you're looking to be a small business and a lifestyle business, that's fine as well. But if you are looking to go to the next level, any big business or good business is built on multiple pillars because marketing changes. We built
Mhm.
our business originally off the back of email marketing back in the day when we were doing telemarketing, and 2 years ago that sort of fell off the edge of a cliff. And if we'd only had that and not had these other channels to grow into, then your business changes dramatically overnight, and that's not a position anyone wants to be in, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what happened with email marketing? I haven't ever heard
Yeah,
that
well,
that fell off the
so email outreach at scale changed quite dramatically. Just about probably about 2 years ago now. Where for whatever reason, I don't know the technical exact backgrounds, but we used to sell it as part of our packages, so they would get LinkedIn outreach and email outreach, etc. And then within a couple of months, it went from being like 20 to 30% of their lead flow would come from email to more like 5%. And that wasn't just it wasn't just an us thing; that's an industry thing. Um, and so from our point of view, we just took it out of what we do, where we just gave them more value in LinkedIn, i.e. more profiles or whatever. And, you know, end of the day, it's about CPA for our clients. And we make our
Mhm.
money on long-term relationships because clients can work with us for £450, $600 a month. So at those price points, we need to make long-term relationships. So it's just about getting that best bang for buck for our clients. And email just wasn't giving it to them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$600 a month is a deal. That's just a
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Uh,
It really is. Yeah.
yeah,
And
from knowing
that's for
marketing,
three
yeah.
profiles to do LinkedIn outreach. And the thing for us is the reason it scales is one profile can only connect and message so many people. So multiple profiles is how you do that. And as I said, our core clients have like 3, 5, or 10 profiles with us, but we do have some big clients that have got hundreds of people, and they work all the whole world. They're targeting people, and they've got mass markets. So there's sort of no limit to how much outreach they can do. Um,
Mhm.
but again, that is a very small percentage of our business. But it's great to see it go to that scale because it just shows you the power, even for ourselves internally. Like we've got clients in the US, UAE, Canada, all over the world, basically, even in Europe in the last year. We've started doing more in the Netherlands and Belgium. So, it's great to know that you can do that. I think when I speak to new business owners and they're like, and we only started doing internationally like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's a tick box on LinkedIn, and it works the same, if not better, in some countries like the US. Really, really engage with what we do.
That's really I can see that.
Yeah,
Absolutely see that being a thing in
mm,
the United States for sure.
yeah.
What is it like to run an international to be international?
Uh,
Are you up
it sounds
24/7?
cooler. It sounds cooler than it is. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have Teams calls at random times. Um, But yeah, no, to be honest, I love it. I love it, and we chatted off pod, but it's changed a lot. Like I always think about pre-COVID, I used to travel around and see clients all the time. So it's like, okay, so you might have to do a call at 11 p.m. sometimes, but
Yeah,
at the same time, pre-COVID, you were traveling away for 2 days or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to South Africa next week for a week for work, so that's great. But at the same
that
time,
sounds kinda fun.
got young kids. It's good to be home as well.
Oh, yeah, of
Mm,
course. Yeah, I have found that I am, and for podcast guests, I have one coming on, soon from Japan, and I've had a couple from the UK.
mm,
So and then working with a company in India, so I have the 6 a.m.
mm.
like I'm doing and the 11 p, so I get it for sure.
Yeah.
It's just more of a it's just a thing,
Yeah, totally,
international
yeah.
business. Yeah,
I
but it's
I was gonna mention to you, like, the stress of running a business. I know obviously it's about being well for your podcast, but also about being healthy. This isn't a sponsored ad. I've got no affiliation to them whatsoever, but I, would struggle with stress probably a couple of years ago just from doing the business that we do. A lot of things
mhm,
going on, like you say, offices internationally, clients international, et cetera. And I use a product called Heights, just really good for your mental health. If you look him up, it's basically a founder started them probably 5, 6 years ago, but he had similar things where he didn't sleep well or he would have increased anxiety, that sort of thing. And he went to see a specialist, and they basically said that his diet was affecting his mental health. Wasn't
Mhm.
getting certain foods that were for the brain, if you like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a huge advocate of that. If there's any business people out there or real people that aren't business people and just generally stressed out, it's a great tool for me. Changed my life.
So Heights, Heights?
Yeah, heights. Yeah, like a
Okay.
skyscraper. Yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm a big fan, and check them out on the website. They've got other products, but they're
We'll have them
like
come
they're
on the
great.
show. Send them an
Oh
invite.
yeah, they'd be great. They'd be a great guest. Yeah, they'd be a great guest.
That's awesome.
Hmm. Sorry, I
Yeah, so
digress. But I thought it was. I
oh,
mentioned.
no.
Hmm.
Yeah, so well, and it is, running a business, I think, can be for sure a tough thing.
Hmm,
Um,
definitely.
do you think it's better now for people doing advertising versus, marketing?
Yeah,
Getting leads easier? Is it cheaper? Is it harder? What do you think from your experience over 17 years? Things have changed a
yeah.
lot.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I talk about marketing pillars in our business now. Like we're very good at LinkedIn outreach, and we have the ability to scale it quite dramatically. So, 90% of our leads come from that. Maybe slightly less, 80%. We do a lot of webinars and we get Google leads and referrals, etc. But the majority of our leads come from LinkedIn outreach because we're good at it. Um, Yeah, I think it's a great time to be doing social ads in particular. I was just saying that 80% of our clients or our lead flow, I should say, comes from LinkedIn automation because that's what we're good at. Um, but we obviously are exceptionally good at that because we do that for a business, so it makes sense for us because our CPA is so good. But for other clients that are looking to have multiple channels, like we're big believers in Facebook ads, Instagram ads, that sort of thing, because you can get really good results there. I think the differentiator between what we do and that sort of thing is that the quality of what we get is great because before you start doing anything on LinkedIn outreach, you can literally have a list of the individuals, and on that list you can see their turnover, you can see their job title, you can see their sector, so if any of those people respond positively, they're worth your time. And I think on ads, the biggest challenge you have is qualifying people out because they're not the right person or they don't, have the right revenue or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Um, so although it's a great time for it, I think it's better probably for consumer than it is for business to be running ads. I know LinkedIn ads are nowhere close to outreach at scale cost CPA. We don't run any ads on LinkedIn. It's like £50 to £100 just to get a lead, which is crazy when clients can work with us for £400 and get a couple 2 to 5 leads a day sometimes across 3 profiles. So
Wow,
um, yeah, each their own,
that's
obviously, but and every business is different, right? There's some businesses that ads are better for, but the CPA, LinkedIn don't love what we do. That's the short answer, really. They want you spending money on in-mails and ads, but to scale in-mails is outrageously expensive. It's almost like £1 an in-mail, which is you get a certain amount free with a sales navigator, but after that, if you want to do any more, then it's like literally a pound a go, which is just it's crazy to be honest with you. And then ads is probably even a higher cost. So again, each their own. But in our experience across all of our clients, if we would get better results in those 2 channels on side LinkedIn, we would be selling those because again, we make our money on long term relationships.
yeah.
Mm.
And marketing, it does seem like with the different avenues, it's just like it is an ever evolving. Have you noticed stuff with Google in the last year? Because you do some Google also, right?
Yeah, we do some Google. We have a sister business that really specializes in ads, spend ads. Um, and even with his expertise, uh, there's a lot going on with like bank backlinks, I should say. Sorry, and there's a lot of AI SEO stuff going on that's affecting Google quite dramatically, and it's hit or miss. We've seen and I've heard of people that we work with that get great results from that. I mean, backlinks are a win if the backlinks are good. That's definitely a win for a lot of clients for SEO. It's just getting the right provider of those backlinks and or creating them yourself appropriately, which is a bit of a maze and it's not our niche. So I don't know the detail of it at that extent, but I know it's a huge thing over the last couple of years that have changed it quite a lot. And obviously the AI side of content
Mhm.
writing as well, which again can be hit and miss if you don't do it correctly.
Yeah.
So it's a minefield, to be honest with you, and it's one I don't deal with full time, which I'm glad of, to be honest, because I think getting it right is huge results, but it's very high risk because you can get it wrong. It can affect your website massively, bad backlinks, that sort of thing.
I know, just in case people don't know, like a backlink would be where you would put, like, for example, with my podcast, I'm about this website is just inches away from being launched. But
Nice.
you would put a link to YouTube. So that would be a backlink as an example. So you
Perfect.
put
Yeah.
something on your website that would be linked, to another
And,
website.
and what that does is give your website credibility, which is what Google
Yes.
wants. It'll give you a higher domain score. And then when they search for
Mhm.
things that are relevant to you, then obviously you come up. And you normally have to have backlinks that are linked to similar products or services as you or in the same world, because
Mhm.
that's how they're valued, supposedly. Again, not an expert at all when it
Yeah.
comes to it. But yeah, that's sort of how it works.
Well,
Beginner's
and
guide.
I never thought I was an expert at it, but when I start talking about it with people, they glaze over. So I'm like, maybe
Maybe you are an
I
expert.
like maybe I am. I don't
Yeah,
know,
but
but
there's
I
nothing
hadn't.
there's nothing you can't learn enough on the internet to become an expert, so YouTube, et cetera, why not?
Well, and also out of my pocket because I had during COVID, the
Yeah,
other things I was doing, I had launched a couple things in December of 2019. So it's like, good
nice.
luck. Well, no, good luck,
Yeah, yeah.
because the world shut down and they weren't really able to go. So I'm like, so I opened up an online store through the help of someone who kind of knew a little bit more about that than I did. And then as soon as it launched, he left. So I'm like, I'm telling you what, it's just, trial by fire sometimes, right?
Totally, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how do all the great people learn? They learn from making mistakes, unfortunately. That's how we get the arrows in the backs, and that's how we can tell other people what's to do and what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know with websites, I mean, I'm just going to talk. I've never talked about it on here, so you tell
Cool.
me what you know about that too. But
Yeah, yeah,
so with a website, it's got to look what Google ranks, and here's what the problem I've heard with Google recently is the
yeah,
AI, and that people used to go to Google, search down, find a link, click on it, and then go there. But now they're seeing an AI overview, so they're getting the answer from that and not needing to click on a site, so it's harder for people to get the results.
definitely, yeah. People are
So,
getting more information quicker, which means, like you say, they're ending up at less websites. Um, And not only that, I don't know if you get this, but we constantly get like fake people coming to your inquiries. It might be like another language or just people selling to you via automation inside your website, which is funny because obviously we do that inside LinkedIn as far as the companies go. But I mean, we get people trying to sell us backpacks, and you wouldn't believe it the spam you get through your website, which I
yeah,
don't think's helped either. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, just to answer what you were the original question is that I think that AI is not really helping it either because I know that people are using AI to create content quite a lot, and I think that Google can actually tell now whether it's AI created or not from people that have told me that are much better versed on it than myself. So that's a challenge, I think. Again, the same principle with us. We use AI, but we use it as like um, speeding up of a process, never a full process. Like I mentioned about, for other people that want to write content message journeys, like use it a little bit, but don't ever fully use it. I think it can be quite can have a negative impact on your website scores, particularly if you're using it for blogs and stuff like that.
yeah, a little bit off-putting. And it's, the
Yeah,
irony that AI is scoring AI low. 'Cause AI
yeah,
'cause Google has their bots, their AI bots, looking
yeah.
through
It's
going,
crazy, isn't it?
"What's like us? Let's not do that."
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, even go back to the LinkedIn profiles where they used to have AI profiles, like millions of them, millions of them. One of the biggest problems, I know it's a slight sidestep on the conversation, but biggest problems LinkedIn have at the minute is people attaching AI to their actual profiles. So people are going on LinkedIn thinking they're speaking to me or to you or whatever, and they're actually speaking to a bot. And that is a big problem for LinkedIn because
Oh,
who's going
geez.
to go on a platform where people can just be going on there and having a bot of themselves have conversations with them? Like no one wants to live in a world where that's the case. So I know people in the space where LinkedIn can even tell when you're doing like bot conversation via your profile. So there's obviously a big difference between an automated message, which you've pre-agreed and you're sending out cold, and then people responded to it. But if after they respond, some AI gets involved and starts having a conversation, LinkedIn can actually tell, and they don't like it, obviously, and they will ban accounts for that.
That's fascinating. I've not heard that.
Yeah,
And I've had AI conversations, I think, with several of my recent guests,
I
and
bet. Yeah,
the conversation does seem to be that people are going to want to have conversations with people. People want to see
yeah,
people,
totally. Yeah,
you know.
a crazy client example I can give you recently, which you believe or not, is AI companions. Interestingly, from a health perspective, they were targeting directors of businesses, basically on them being lonely and whatever reason, having an AI companion sold via LinkedIn, believe it or not. And actually, LinkedIn picked up on it and basically stopped it. So it's crazy the companies out there these days.
Wow. That is, well, you hear some stuff, but the
I know.
where I'm at
You
right,
wouldn't believe it, would you? Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's well, and man, we got to be pretty lonely to want an AI friend, you know. So, and people are lonely, but I mean, come on, I
yeah.
just don't know that
I know.
that's going to be the thing that's going to make you less lonely.
I know. Well, yeah,
I
I know.
just
If anything, it make me feel more lonely. You end up talking to a
right,
robot, right?
right, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Listen, there's a billion people on the planet. There's going to be someone for you to talk to. I
So
promise.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each to their own. I guess as people with different backgrounds, like we're obviously, with a marketing backgrounds, we're stereotypically outgoing people. So maybe it's alien to us to even believe that's a thing. But maybe in certain spaces, which I won't name, just to sort of name a whole space or something. But there's certain spaces where people are maybe a bit more introverted, where they find it very difficult to have personal relationships. Um,
Mhm.
who knows, right? I've give up guessing. The world is a crazy place these days.
Well, it just, in my opinion, technology and has made it possible for people to even, for younger generations to grow up almost babysat by technology in
Oh
some
yeah,
ways.
scares the life out of me.
So, yeah, so it's, there's still people. I mean, just
Yeah,
it does make me sad because I'll meet people that, I met some the other day said, I have no one. And I'm like,
yeah,
but there's people out there that feel the same way as you. And it
yeah,
is hard. I'm very compassionate. I know what
yeah,
loneliness
yeah,
feels like. And you can feel lonely even around people. So, but
yeah.
I
Totally.
think people are the solution to that, not the,
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I talk about my daughter. She's 5, and there's always this constant like she wants an iPad and stuff like that. And I don't ever want to go there. I don't know what age I'll ever feel comfortable having. I see, and I get it. Parenting's tough, especially if you've got multiple children. To give the iPad makes more sense than anything to have a break or to achieve something that you need to do when you can't give. But I just worry about what it does to their mental health and their, like you say, their ability to have relationships in the future. Um,
Mhm.
so not for me just yet. I'm going to hold off as long as I can.
Well, in the business, the lead lab, of course, and when you're doing marketing, it is really that intersection of using technology as much as you can,
Mm.
and being as human as you can, don't you think?
Totally, yeah. I mean, look, we even have a podcast studio that we run off the side of the Lead Lab in the UK, which where
Okay.
I'm obviously in at the minute, and we rent it
Yeah.
out to people, and different business owners use it and stuff like that. And a lot of what they do it for is to create the short clips that you see on social media,
Mhm.
um, and which is just creates that So we're guilty of it. It's creating that doom scrolling thing where people just go from short clip to short clip to short clip, but it's just how people consume information nowadays.
It
Um,
is.
you know,
Yeah.
our team might clip this podcast up and use clips on my LinkedIn or whatever. Same,
Yeah.
it's the way that has to be done, and then people will see that and think, "Oh, that's interesting. I'll go and watch the whole podcast." But it is what it is, and I do. I'm very much a new parent to a certain extent. Within the last 5 years, I've got a 10-month-old and a 5-year-old, and
Yeah.
I think because I'm in digital marketing, if you like, or automation and AI and stuff like that, it just petrifies me, and I think trying to make the right choices is really tough.
It is a, it's an interesting world, isn't it? for sure in
So
that.
so so
So,
so much
I mean,
opportunity as well. Like on the positive side of that, all the scary bit of it. The positive side is look, there is so much opportunity. Like I say, we can be contacting people all over the world, and we've got clients all over the world. So that's the other side of it. But it is swings and
mhm,
roundabouts, right?
yeah. So, tell me, like, it used to be that you guys were doing and going back to how things are changing and
Yeah.
how and also if you are a business owner and you've been running your business for 40 years, 30 years, and this is the way things are done, this is the way how things are always gonna be done.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, First of all, what would you say to someone like that? He's like, "Oh, this is how I've done it, and this is how I'm gonna keep doing it
To
because 'cause I've
be
been
honest,
doing it
I'd be
like this
say
forever."
I would say to be honest, they're doing spectacularly well to still be existing. Like it is a little bit like you do need to, you need to change to survive sometimes. And I think if people are doing really well and doing things the way they used to do 40 years ago, then one fair play to them, they must have an absolutely fantastic product and service. But there is better ways to do things now. And look, every business is different. I don't think you can just, you know, sugarcoat that over everything. Like we even have some clients that have AI calling, um, but it's just being used at the right time, where a consumer just wants something and they want it now, and actually it's better for that consumer to be able to speak to an AI at 8 p.m. rather than wait till 9, so the client's getting a better experience, which they're happy with. So it's just about, it's really hard to say what you'd say to them because, like you say, every business is so different.
Mhm,
I think being open minded is super important, to survive and to grow in business. And I think it's not really about what's right or wrong. It's about what's right for you. And the only way you're going to find that out is by doing as low risk test as you can. I saw a thing yesterday, or the day before, about risk management as a business owner. You've got basically what's the worst that's going to happen if you do something, what's likely to happen, and what's the best thing that can happen. And if you're happy
okay,
with the worst outcome, and you think what's likely to happen is good, then it's worth doing, because you're only going to get better, and you're only going to deploy. And because we, to go back 6, 7 years ago, pre-COVID, we had 40 telemarketers in our company, cold
yeah,
calling for a range of different clients, everything from part-time CFOs to CRMs. We even did a bit of consumer as well, like solar and stuff like that. Um, and to think that business now, they are they don't exist in the same way as they did back then, just because the technology's changed so dramatically. So that company, if that MD back then speak to Toby 7, 8 years ago, and he hadn't been open minded to change, and followed the best practices and what other people are doing, then you know we wouldn't be here now,
yeah.
and we definitely wouldn't be clients all over the world, and traveling and doing all that. We just wouldn't exist anymore, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, it's all about adapting. Um, yeah.
So what have you found with the phone sales, or the phone lead generation? What's making that less viable now?
Well, what they have now for like an iPhone, for example, they'll literally can screen any call that you haven't got saved in your phone. So it will basically come up and it will just say, um, someone's ringing. You have to leave a message basically that will come up on their phone, whether they answer or not. So it's literally
Mhm,
like they've got their own receptionist inside every iPhone now. So you can
yeah,
imagine a cold caller
yeah,
used to make 200, 300 cold calls a day to a consumer on their mobile, or a business owner on their mobile. And people would see a number. As a business owner, you almost got to pick it up. Again, selfish instincts of it might be something for me, it might be a potential client, whatever. But now they can literally see, they literally got to say, "Oh, it's Toby from the lead lab," and that comes up in the writing. So, thank God it's not our core business anymore. But it must be very challenging for people trying to still do that.
yeah. Well, I've now that you say that, I've noticed that happening recently on my phone where, it might ring once and then it goes straight to voicemail, and it is
Yeah, I mean,
kind of,
I,
oh,
I, I've
someone
I've
wanting
got a
to
friend who had a B2C telemarketing company, and his biggest client, his own company, was selling to consumer. And within 2 months of that coming in, that wasn't his client anymore. So he's gone from, I don't know, having 30 staff to 15 staff overnight, basically, just because of a change in technology, which is just crazy, right? But that is the world we live in now, and that's why you need to be trying new things all the time. Um, even how we started LinkedIn automation, we used to do it manually to start with. we had an international team that would sit there and manually do it, which obviously wasn't scalable. It wasn't something we could provide to our clients. But COVID sort of gave us that break to build the software ourselves and be able to scale it
Mhm.
ourselves and obviously give it to our clients. Um,
Yeah,
and that's again all about changing and developing and following the energy, really.
yeah. Well, and I think you just have to do that if you wanna,
Totally.
if you want to scale. What's the best type of client to work with you?
Just anyone who's looking for people on LinkedIn, really. One thing we say, like our key mantra as a business, is to stop people being consumers on LinkedIn. If you're on your news feed, if you're in your inbox, you're our perfect client, because what we do is we just email you when someone's interested. So you go on LinkedIn when you've got an interested party in one of your profile's inboxes, because when you're doing it the other way, you are just a consumer on there. You're on there, you're looking through the news feed, you're looking through your inbox. You are just being sold to on LinkedIn. We really
Mhm,
flip that, where you just become the seller, if that makes sense.
mhm.
Because that's how LinkedIn makes its money, really, is by going on there and consuming via. That's how the whole business model works. And I think if you're a one man band and you spend 2 hours a day on LinkedIn, but not really achieving anything, um, you're a great client. Or if you've got 20 sales team and you walk through the office and you can see them all scrolling their LinkedIn newsfeed and you're like, well, I'm at work, I'm on my new LinkedIn. It's like, I want my sales team selling and I want them to get an email when someone's got a positive response for them to deal with on LinkedIn. Then I've got no problem
Yeah.
with them going on LinkedIn. But otherwise, it's just dead time. So that's what we facilitate. We facilitate it being consistent. I always use the analogy of like, it's like when someone puts time each day into a bank, and if you don't spend that time, it's gone the next day. It's sort of the same principle of LinkedIn outreach. If you've got profiles, or we can rent you profiles as well, those profiles can do outreach every day. And if you don't do it, and who's going to do it every day manually when you've got a million other things to do, right? Run a business or be a salesperson or whatever,
Right.
then that opportunity is gone. So what we facilitate is making sure that you make most of that opportunity every single day, but also scale it as well, where you times that opportunity by three, by five profiles, by 10 profiles, whatever it may be, and reach out to lots of people that might be interested in what you've got to offer. You solve a problem, or you make someone's life better, improve their business, whatever. Um, we make sure that's all done for you, basically, at scale.
So what does it mean making different profiles? Like,
So
what does that
the
mean?
core business, and probably about 78% of our clients use their own employees. So it might be a director of a company, or it might be a salesperson, marketing person. We take their profile, we connect it to our software, and it does outreach. But
Okay.
we do have a small percentage of our business where they'll rent profiles from us. So we have a community of people that don't work, but we pay to use their LinkedIn profile. So they're a real person backed by a passport. Um, but they choose not to work or use LinkedIn or whatever it may be. And we rebrand those profiles for our clients or for ourselves to facilitate that scale. So they
Oh,
become the vehicle for more outreach. And they're positioned as marketing, or marketing or sales or whatever it may be, but a lower level position. And then they go and they get that message into the world around very directly and very quickly on how they can improve someone's business or their life. And that obviously gets positive responses. But the power in the profiles is the fact that one can only do so much. So when we can rent you, we've got clients that have 100 profiles they rent from us, and then they just get leads constantly in huge numbers. And we're obviously
wow.
we become the strongest pillar in their business, which is what we love and why our business has grown, because we become a constant lead flow for clients. Whether you're a one man band or a big business with a huge sales team, everyone needs leads, right? Everyone needs opportunity. Um,
Right.
and they're busy dealing with what they're dealing with day to day. So just to get an email saying, "Oh, Mary's responded saying I'm interested. How much is it? Or why should I use you?" Then
Mhm.
it's worth their time to go on LinkedIn, and they are sellers at that point rather than just buyers. And that's really what we're all about.
Yeah, that's great. And I think marketing in general is really like is multiplying who you are. So
Totally,
you can only
great
do so
analogy.
much in
Yeah.
a day. And, and I've heard so much from businesses, and I worked with probably smaller, local businesses that,
Mm.
well, we just got to get the word out. How do we get the word out? People just don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
about us.
So
And
true.
if you're
Yeah, yeah.
saying that that's marketing, it's because you're
Mm,
not doing marketing. So
mm.
you're either have to figure out a way yourself if you don't think you're going to want it, you can't pay for it, then you're doing your own sales.
Totally.
you're going out and networking, you're picking up the phone and calling, you're stopping by, you're dropping by, you're making connections,
Mm.
and that's valid, when you're
And I made the
starting
same
out if
mistake
you're
in
that
my
thing.
business. I made the same mistake in my business. Like for the first year or two, obviously, I get that you probably got to do it, but I think maybe I probably spent 4 or 5 years more in my business, maybe than I should have, selling myself. Where I was in the demos, I was doing this, and the business just sort of plateaus, and you just become like
Mhm.
a rabbit in the wheel that's just going around and getting. It's not the only way to scale is to have you know, like you say, multiply yourself is the key thing. Whether it's different people doing the demos or more people doing the lead generation, but all those things, and but also importantly, done at an affordable price point for you. You know,
Mhm.
some of these companies come in and they just want ridiculous money from small businesses. It's like, how on earth are they going to sustain that? And what they tend to do is just come in with a big hit, take a load of money off you, and then see you later 2 months later, and no one's any the wiser, which is sad, unfortunately. I know as a small business owner myself, it's grown over the years. I've spent huge sums of money on like SEO and stuff like that, and you just sat there after like, I can't believe I spent 12 grand on that. It was just the biggest waste of money ever. But you get sold a dream. Um, so it's just managing that risk. What's
Mhm.
the worst that's going to happen? What's the best
Yeah,
that's going to happen? And what do I expect to happen? And if you're happy with all those outcomes, from our point of view, is providing something that is minimal risk to people, and obviously low monthly sort of allow that. And when I speak to clients, it's like, have you ever done any outreach yourself manually? If you've connected and messaged a few people, whatever, over a period of time, and you've had a glint, and I mean literally the tiniest glint of light from doing that, then what we do will work for you because we do it on steroids and we do it all day, every day, basically.
yeah. What's interesting is, like, I've been a business owner who's paid for marketing and paid companies to do that, and then
Yeah.
you have too. So it's
Yeah.
like we and then I've also sold marketing, and this is, of course, you selling marketing,
Yeah.
lead generation.
Yeah.
So we both understand.
Totally. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. 100%.
and that's
But it
probably
helps it
why.
helps sell it. It helps sell it, or it helps package it, I should say, because I'm like, I've been there and I've spent and I've lost, and I think a lot of the time is when people are selling you products or services you don't fully understand, or not even fully understand, don't understand at all. Like SEO is a great example of it. Like you talk to an SEO guy for ages, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, you're my master. What? Yeah, here's my money. Show what it is. Do you know what I mean? I think the beautiful thing about
Right.
what we do, it's in description, it's much simpler, i.e., we're going to connect and message lots of people like an old school email campaign, but inside LinkedIn. And I think that's really helpful because you don't end up having to, get bedazzling people with a load of fluff. It's quite simple in purpose. And if that's why that example of if you've connected a message to anyone in small scale and had a glint of light, then working with us will be perfect for you because we're going to scale it. We're going to do it every day. And whether you're a one man band or a big company, you're going to get leads coming in on a regular occurrence, which is, like you say, all big businesses and all small businesses need.
Yeah, no, that's very much what you need. You need
Yeah,
that
totally.
lifeblood of new
Lifeblood.
business
Yeah.
coming in
Cash is
and
king, as they say. Yeah.
yeah, and
Mm.
it really is. It's like that if you don't
So
have
true.
the new funnel coming in every day, it's
They
tough.
say
It is just tough.
Grant Cardone or whatever the big influencers are, they always say sales solve everything.
Sales
And you
solves
can't get
everything.
sales without leads. Yeah. And you can't get
Yeah,
sales without leads, unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah, usually just some money coming in is what you need, and then
Totally, yeah.
all of your
All the
woes
problems
go
go away.
away.
So true, so true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that you have some things that you do so people can just come and listen,
Yeah, so we have
maybe
webinars
some
every 3
okay,
weeks on
okay.
LinkedIn, sort of like this. I've got my business partner, and one of our sales team come on it. We go through, like, lots of advice for people to do it itself. Like, we're big believers that from a brand perspective, that if we give lots for free and give lots of experience, 2 things happen. 1, people benefit from that, and they go and recommend us, and they go and do it themselves, or they recommend to another company. Or 2,
Mhm.
they realize that actually to do this yourself at scale is an absolute pain in the butt, and actually we might be able to help them. So it's really about coming on. We talk about like AI tools they can use, softwares they can use, guidance on messaging journeys, data. Like there's a lot of things where people go and do outreach themselves that they make mistakes on, and the webinar is
Yeah,
just really all about that. It's all about to avoid those things. And again, we have people come on there that are marketing directors of big businesses, and we have one man bands come on there. It's just really about expanding their knowledge pool, but particularly about LinkedIn automation and outreach at scale. And we share as much as we can because, from our point of view, it sort of shows how much value we give.
Mhm.
Use us, but at the same time, if you're going to go and do it yourself, no problem. You might be missing one part of the puzzle, and then we can give you that. It'll pretty much be in that webinar.
Yeah.
And you can ask questions in it. Also, off the back of the webinar, you can have a free LinkedIn health check, which we don't charge for. It's a one-to-one. You can book it off the back of that webinar. And ask any questions. Like you say, we believe that you'll go off and be an advocate for us, even if you're not a client, because we've just given you a load of information and help without the ask of anything in return. Just something we believe in, and have seen success to be. Again, being selfish, we've seen success from it. I've seen clients
Yeah.
go away and then email their friend and say, "Oh, Toby really helped me. Actually, it's not for us, but I think this would be perfect for you."
Yeah.
So we really go into that full passion on the webinar and in the one-to-ones, because the more we help, the more we think that's going to happen. And don't be wrong, we get lots of clients for our webinars directly.
I love that you guys do that where you are giving back. You're just giving, you're being
Totally.
generous with your knowledge.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah. And look, Mary, being honest, like, we're not doing it out of the kindness of the heart. We genuinely believe in that model. We believe that that
Mhm.
comes back to you. So anyone who wants to take advantage of that and see behind the curtain, if you like, then feel free to. You can go to the webinar and join the next one from our website. Sorry, they're always on there. There's always a link to our webinar, so
Okay.
people can go and do that. Or I can send you a link. We can put it in the description of the video or whatever.
No, please do, yeah.
I'm relatively new to this podcast guest game, so I'm not sure if that's what the done thing is, or
Oh, no,
like
in
and
the
subscribe at the
show
end and stuff like
notes,
that.
yeah, for sure, in the show notes, I try to put as much as I can, so if
Great.
people are, looking for more information, they can go to the show notes and find the
Yeah,
information.
I'm happy to put the link into our one-to-one LinkedIn health check, which is totally free. If they want to go to the website and look, that's great. Or we can put the Calendly link in there as well for them to go straight
Yeah,
to a one-to-one if they feel like they've heard me talk enough, and just want to have a chat one-to-one about their own experience. We look at their size of market. We can show them examples of copy that worked well in their space. Um, Obviously, look at their data pool as well. Also, look at their profile universe, or if they want to rent profiles. Just have conversations around that and answer any questions they have. Because lots of people are intrigued by it, but don't necessarily know it really well or understand it.
yeah. So tell me, if just to speak to someone who is just starting a business or they
Mm.
haven't, they haven't got to the point where they're really making a good ROI,
Mhm.
what advice would you give them? Maybe it's hard for them to have the money for marketing, but since you give a lot of advice, what
Yeah.
would you say to
Yeah,
them?
no, happy to. To be honest with you, when I've started out myself in other businesses, I've had other businesses as well as this one. I've had recruitment companies. I mean, this has always been my core business, my biggest business. But I've had recruitment companies, I've had barbershops, podcast studios, obviously that I'm in now. Um, and what I've always found is the reality when starting is a lot of the stuff you just got to do yourself. Like um, I remember starting on even on LinkedIn, 8-9 years ago, where I would literally sit up at night, connect and message people manually. My day work would finish, and I would sit and do that for 2 or 3 hours. This was back when LinkedIn didn't even limit you. You could literally, if you wanted to connect and message people all day in the early days of LinkedIn, you could. Obviously, that in the great scheme of things, that was never going to last, and they don't want their inboxes to become saturated because that's a problem. But back then I used to do it myself, and you work more hours, etc. I think it's all about, again, comes back to risk management, right? It's trying things as much as you can to mitigate that risk, and trying things on a smaller scale, whether it's LinkedIn outreach, tele, whatever it is you're going to do lead generation.
Yeah,
It's about risk management and trying things yourself. And the truth of the matter is, you have to give time.
yeah,
When you don't have money, you have to give time initially.
yeah,
Um, and at the same time, do research. I mean, nowadays with YouTube, if you suspect a channel that could be good for you, there's so much stuff you can watch and learn, and educate yourself. But yeah, nothing better than trying things yourself on a small scale, and then from there scale, whatever that may be.
yeah. It's then I totally agree.
Another thing I recommend is good business partners, especially if you're going to have multiple businesses. I definitely
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to have all the business I've had without. I've had some great business partners over the years in different spaces, um, and I could never have done it. All of the stuff I've done without them, would have been possible.
So what do you look for in a business partner?
Oh, great! That's a great question. Oh, what I've often done at businesses outside of marketing, obviously, I come with the value of marketing to our business partners, but
Yeah.
what they tend to have been is they've been specialists or excellent in their space. So again, my barber that I worked with, I had a barber chain with. We have 3 or 4 barbershops at its height. Um, he was an expert. He was in the magazines. He was renowned nationally for being a top barber and doing things differently and unique. Um, so he was great at what he did, but he didn't know how to grow a business initially, because he was just new cutting hair and doing that really well, and exposure that came with it. And that goes across everything I've done, whether it be recruitment, podcast studios, whatever. It's partnering with people that are going to bring value in that business.
Okay.
Um, but also a good personal relationship. I think I had great personal relationships with those people at the time, because having a business with people can almost be even more than a relationship at times. You are so intertwined with each other. Also leaves you bonded for a long period of time. I've got people that I don't have businesses with now that just feel like family to me because of what we've been through over the years, growing businesses together.
Yeah. So you're kind of been the marketing
So
partner with a lot of them. Is that kind
yeah,
of how you've chosen
yeah,
them?
or yeah, maybe the funding as well as the marketing, and maybe more of the business background. Um, but that's no good when you go into a niche market. You need to know that niche, whatever whatever market, you need to know it really well. And the reality is, when I've gone into those other markets, they weren't necessarily my expertise. My expertise are LinkedIn marketing,
Yeah.
and lead generation. So yeah, none of those businesses would have been successful without their level of experience in that space.
I feels like that's very good advice. And what I heard you say is, you get someone who's very good in their space with what they do, who doesn't necessarily know what you do.
Exactly that. Yeah,
And then
or maybe they
kind of
don't
to
have the
marry the
100%, or like I've done it with business partner where I see so much potential in them. I'm like, "You're amazing at what you do. Why are you doing this with someone else? Like, you should be doing this yourself." And they don't even they wouldn't have a clue where to start. So they just need that helping hand, and that consistent guidance to look do everything else, and let them just worry about what they do, and then the business will thrive off the back of that, because they can focus fully on that. And if you can find people you like before going into business, that's one of my biggest things, because it's such an emotional roller coaster having a business with someone. Um,
yeah.
to like them is really helpful. If you don't, it won't last long.
That's really
Yeah,
that's very true. Um,
yeah.
so I've always thought that, when if I give advice to someone on a business is to make sure that you have something that it's a viable product or service
Mm.
before you really even get rolling on anything else. Would you agree with that or no?
Yeah, it sort of comes back into the same conversation around people with no marketing budget, around risk assessment and like trying things in the smaller scale to prove concept first. Like we've just started a more business called Podable where we do podcasts on location. So like we're doing one in BMW next week where we go and set up in the
Fun.
studio and create a podcast and stuff like that. But like even for ourselves, we've gone and we've done it on small tests before realizing there's a market for it. So you're not overly invested before realizing that there's something in it. And I think that's a lot of things people do. They try and get everything absolutely perfect before starting, and they do that, the baseline of everything, and they go and do it, and the market's not there for it, as an example. And they've spent
Right.
X amount of £1,000, they've spent this much time, and then they've just wasted their time and money because the market's not there. Go and do it first, do it on a shoestring, and once you see that, you'll feel it. You're like, this works for him, it's going to work for other people.
Yeah. I agree with that. So,
Mm.
and having started a business during COVID where you really can hardly even, I don't even know, I don't even know how I would have done that differently than what I did.
Yeah,
But it was a little tougher then, of course, to do that.
totally,
Um,
totally.
yeah. So I absolutely agree with that. But if you're really good, people come to you and like, we love this stuff. I mean, we love
Yeah,
what you're
totally.
doing. We love this. Can you do this for us? Then you have something that's, or can you make this for us? Which could be, yeah, you make cookies,
Whatever.
or
Cookies,
it
yeah.
could be like the cutting hair, or decorating, or you're really
I
good
feel
at
so
all
the thing
kinds
is,
of different things.
one thing I talk about, Mary, is I'm just really proud of people that try. Like, I just think it's fantastic. I can't speak for the US, but in the UK, um, and not all, but some young people are just everything's a bit easy for them or done for them nowadays. I just think people going out and taking the risk and trying things themselves. There's nothing more I could have better respect for, or even just hardworking people. To be honest with you, I've got some 4 or 5 best friends, and I'm all from different walks of life, all different levels of what would be perceived success in the general world, but they're all hardworking men for their family, and nothing gives me more respect than that. And they all had to go and try the hard way to do any of those markets,
Hmm. Yeah,
or women,
because
obviously. Sorry, forgive.
yeah, I don't know. And I think it's you got to try. Yeah, trying is very admirable. You know, a lot of
Yeah,
people who own big businesses, let's be honest, it was handed to them.
yeah,
So
so true.
yeah,
And I think as every 10 years go on, there's less people trying for whatever reason. And again, I am sort of speaking more for the UK, but it's definitely getting a lot more done for you, shall we say? To link it back to my business, it's definitely much more done for you, especially in the UK.
well, we gotta. I think there's so much changing in right now in the world that
Mm.
dig in, people. We got to dig in.
Yeah, dig in,
Um,
yeah,
you
hundred
know,
percent, yeah.
so yeah, I totally agree with that.
I think
So
I've got a brother who's come out of university in the last couple of years, and he's the I started the Podable where we go and do podcasts on site for him, and what he says is that for young people, especially with degrees or without degrees, there's so much little opportunity out there at the minute, especially opportunity they would want to do. Like AI, international resource, all this stuff is just killing jobs in the Western world because they're getting done in other ways, like more profitable ways for business owners. So, you do need that get up and go to go and make things happen, really, or else no one's going to come and knock on your door and give you a job or a
yeah,
business.
yeah, and that is, I've had this AI conversation and everything, and it's distressing.
Mm,
Change can be distressing.
yeah.
So I think it does come down to you can build a business around skill. I mean, there's AI can't clean your house.
Oh yeah,
The things that we would wish AI would do.
yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, so
Well, I think
there's
Elon Musk is trying to work on that. To be honest, I see these robots on Instagram all the time.
uh,
Um, so God knows, but it would creep me out. To be honest, I'd be scared that a robot was cruising around my house cleaning it up.
yeah, I don't know that the reality is people want people. So I think there's a little bit of not that I
Yeah,
don't know.
totally.
People
Yeah,
say AI can do everything. I'm like, can it? Because like I just tried to
it
get
definitely can't do
AI
everything.
to make a little video for me to put like just the AI stuff into a thing, and I'm like, I spent 3
Yeah,
hours at it. It couldn't do it. I had to
yeah,
throw it into Canva. I'm like, this
yeah.
is not what I was wanting, and I
No,
was
we touched on
testing
it
different
earlier, but I
things.
think
So,
it's a good, like, it can help with a bit here and there, but it can't do anything by itself properly. It's always just like a halfway house, really. That's
mhm,
how we advise to use it. It's like Google, Google and ChatGPT from a search engine point of view. It's not much different. It's just communicating it back to you in a different way. So it's just like an advancement on that to a certain extent.
yeah, where it's where it's kind of like taking the information that it has and then throwing it at you. And of
Yeah,
course, it
just
can be
communicating to you
really.
in a better way, really. Yeah,
Yeah, and it can also be I mean, there is, of course, the dangers in it, which is that it can, lie.
corruption.
It just makes up stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if people know that. Hopefully,
for some
everyone knows that.
reason it's financially incentivized to do X rather than Y for whatever reason, or politically, even more scary, politically led by whatever reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of dangers that can come from that,
Yeah,
so,
I know,
yeah, for
especially in the
sure.
US, it's a very sensitive time politically.
It's the I'm telling you what,
I've got you there. You got
I
nothing
did
else to
I
add,
did a
Charles.
couple Yeah, I did a couple episodes on Epstein files, and I feel
Oh,
like I could
wow.
probably throw because, well, the whole thing that I'm was doing this is like, why is the world like this, and how can we
Stop
do
it.
it better? How can there
Save
be
it.
how
How
can
can we
we
save
how
the
can we
world?
save it? But I thought there's not save it. I wasn't but like
Me and
how
you on
can
this
we do it
podcast.
better? Like,
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I have looked for wisdom my whole life and
Mm.
from high school, like you graduate high school and then I graduated college and I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
This is
Like
it.
I got all A's and did everything you told me to and
Yeah, yeah.
I am qualified to do nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And
I
they
can
want
go
people
work
that
in
have been in
fast
work for
food
3
or
years
something.
rather than being at uni for 3 years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's so I just feel like the wisdom that's out there is
So, do you
and the
think
biggest talking heads are have some wisdom, but I feel like there's better wisdom, and I've been like and every guest I've had on, I'm like, "That's the wisdom I've
yeah.
been needing."
Do you think Epstein was killed or do you think he killed himself?
I don't think he's dead. How
I
about
love it.
that?
Love it. Yeah,
I'm
I don't know,
just
so
looking at straight up facts, I'm just
yeah.
there's yeah, and well, and that
I've only
sounds
seen the stuff
great.
that Joe Rogan
It's
said. I'm a Joe Rogan fan, obviously, as a podcaster, but, I haven't done a deep dive into it or whatever. It just seems like there's so much information.
you can't almost as a human being do a deep dive because there's so much information out there, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of shady stuff going down in the jail that's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
out there as that was happening,
So you think he's
and
still alive?
you know,
Definitely.
it just makes the most sense to me based on
Fascinating.
the fact that there was, someone yeah, I don't even know, can I even put this out there? But
Why
apparently,
not?
there was someone who at the jail who saw someone pull up
Yeah.
behind and get someone in the car and do that. There was someone else at the jail who was searching his death before he died,
Mm.
on Google. And then there's the ties to like he had passports, legitimate passports to other countries. So there's like, well, he
Yeah,
was a
yeah, yeah.
spy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and
He
like
could have taken him somewhere else.
if he can, well, I did the podcast that I did was on just the 2 hours that was released from his Steve Bannon interview, and so he's
Yeah.
trying to fix his image there in 2019. And so he's just saying things that are just like, I'm on the Trilateral Commission. People think it's some spooky thing, the Illuminati or something. This is his
Mm.
words.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so it's the Illuminati. It's a spooky thing. I'm just going to go with what you said.
Yeah, yeah.
It just, but yeah, it takes you down roads you're like that sound just crazy. But then then you realize that it just really I think I could do a whole podcast where I just read
Well, some of the
documents off
emails, it's
of
like
the
you can't tell
United
where
States,
some of the emails you can't
websites.
tell whether he's joking or whether he's being serious, and he's saying the most outrageous things on email, or they're saying supposedly that are his emails. It's just fascinating. It is fascinating. I totally get it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then the people saying that he had a trained or a contract killer was in his cell with him, like the 2 days or 3 days before. There's just so many moving parts. It's
I
fascinating.
haven't seen that. I haven't heard
Mm,
that part, but
mm.
I mean, I just when I was watching the video for weight, it's very disturbing. So I think I will
Mm.
go back at some time and do it, but it very much drains my energy
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
to have to listen to that.
it takes all the positivity out of you as well.
Well,
I bet.
and part of what's so disturbing about it is that it's just so he's just such a nice he just seems like a nice professor.
Oh god.
So
Yeah.
and that's right, isn't your stomach turning,
That's his
just
whole
hearing
game,
that?
right? That's his whole game. Build trust with
That
people and yeah.
and the level of intelligence that he has. So
Yeah.
he and Steve Bannon were talking about, Newton, Isaac Newton and different things like they were buddies. It was it's just so the history of science. They were
Yeah.
talking about hundreds of years of science and math, and he's interested in high level math, high level science. Used, hired the scientists that make weaponry. That's why
Yeah,
he
the
had
people
the
he's
Neural
thrown with
Ranch.
is crazy information knowledge, I
Oh,
guess. Yeah.
yeah. So it
Very.
just, yeah, so disturbing. So what can we as normal people do? All I can say is there's more normal people than there are of these
Amen.
shady blah 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 up
Mm.
there. So
So
you
true.
know, we use what we can do every day. I just, if everyone does something every day, and I'm not one that has a huge amount of power or influence or anything. I'm just
Mm.
doing something that I can do
Yeah,
and
yeah,
bringing some good wisdom to the world and getting that out there, and you just try to go, what are you putting in your mouth? Let's not participate in,
yeah,
and me included, like,
yeah.
are we putting all kinds of, are we just willingly loading our bodies up with toxins?
Mm.
Or are we going, what is the best choice I can make today? And it's tough. I mean, like, it's tough. That's all I can say, you know. Um, but
So true.
Toby, thanks for taking us down this rabbit trail. I hope everyone really enjoys the
Sorry, my
rabbit
fault.
trail. I just jumped right
Fascinating.
in
It is
too.
fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could. Yeah, I'm aware that I'm on your podcast, so I'm not going to keep talking about it. But I could just
Oh,
talk
it's
about it
all
for hours,
good.
like you said. I could just go do a whole podcast on it. But yeah,
Well,
it's
and
funny.
to go back to, like, why is this the way it is? Like, why do we not have, like, entrepreneurial things? Why don't we not taught that in school? Of course, in the United
Oh,
States, I don't, in other countries.
same in the
Um,
UK. I can't even imagine. It's crazy. It's crazy they don't teach that. Crazy tax as well. They don't teach anything like that. It's just it is. There must be some ulterior. Like, it makes absolutely no sense that there is no entrepreneurial class in school. It makes absolutely no sense. Like, it must be something that is advantageous to these countries that they're not taught that. I.e., they used to need. I don't know if it's going to change in the future, but they used to need workers for this or for that. So
mhm,
actually, empowering these people and educating these people around things they could do is like, you got to go and do that yourself. If you want to learn about a religion you believe in or don't believe in, depending on your upbringing, then that's fine. You can go to that class for 4 hours a week, but actually something that's maybe it's crazy to me, and also benefits people that don't have the traditional intelligence that people have in education. Like, entrepreneurialism doesn't necessarily have to be for an academic; it can be for anyone. And I think that's really empowering for young people that don't necessarily have the greatest maths or English or whatever it may be,
mhm,
to go into a class and be really good at something that maybe they don't fit in any of the other classes, that they don't
mhm.
even know, just because they're not given the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and this is also why I have chosen Epstein over other topics to go, what is it all about? 'Cause,
Mm.
Ghislaine Maxwell's dad wrote our textbooks.
No way. No way.
So
Oh my god, that makes it even more it's like
McGraw
it just
McGraw
goes
Hill
back to
is
that top
actually
level of, like,
it
how the
yeah,
world runs and who decides
how
what
the
is crazy.
and who decides what, and it's been like that, it seems like, for a long time when you look at it. So, like, the Rockefellers
Yeah.
were
I
like,
assume it's the same in the UK,
y'all
but,
are
like, I
gonna
always think
go
about
work in, factories and don't think for yourself."
American 100%. I assume it's the same in the UK, but, like, American politics, it's always like who runs which group. Like, these always people above funding. And look, I'm taking this from American TV programs, right? So how true it is, I don't know. But it's always about a certain group of people with an outrageous amount of money leading a political party. And then that
Mhm.
leads everything. Everything comes from there, which is just
Yeah.
crazy that the free world is basically led by elite individuals indirectly. It's crazy to think.
Well, and I did a whole thing on the Trilateral Commission based on what Epstein said, which was that the trilateral, he's like, I was
Mm,
asked to be on it by David Rockefeller, and people think it's a spooky thing, but
mm.
business leaders, and I'm going to summarize what he said.
Yeah.
Government leaders don't know finance. They don't know anything about finance outside of their personal checkbook, and so they
Mm.
need business people to lead the country, basically, so
Yeah.
to
Crazy.
create stability. And so
Economy.
that's what we're doing. We're creating, but we is the Rockefellers and the
Yeah.
Rothschilds and the Epstein class.
Mm.
Those are the ones who are then it's then you're like, of course they're picking the people. They have the money to fund the campaigns. So they're just picking, and they can fund both sides.
And the outcomes that
Um,
suit them. They get
so
the
it's
outcomes that suit them.
yeah, and it's like the trilaterals, Asia, Europe, the Americas, and so I think it's expanded since then. That was 2019. So it's really like that. That's not even a leap to go.
No.
The people that are funding the campaigns and are kind of like all directed at the same thing. So yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
Oh well, it is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it
It's
is
like
crazy. I mean,
this
it
is
is
not
really.
this is
It must be
not
the
what we're
same in the
getting
UK.
up early, working hard for.
No, yes. Also, they talk about, and again, I'm speaking UK wise, but they say that basically, like, there's 60 million people in the UK, of which 40 million are income providers or whatever, and only I think it's like 7 million people pay tax. So it's like 7 million people are paying for everyone else, indirectly or not. Um, and it's a crazy world we live in, and it's just scary, isn't it? Because it's getting more extreme feels like every year. Um, but yeah, I don't want to go too doomsday. Sounds
Well,
sounds a
because
bit much.
there's so the reason, like I put some of the stuff up there because obviously my audience is a lot of business people,
Mm,
is because there is still the level of what do we do, like common sense every day. We're getting up, we're going to work. What do
mm.
we do? And I think in the scheme of things, we're getting larger, like global. We got to find good people globally, and then we also got to be really local, so that we're um, doing more eating food local.
So
We're
true,
getting
so
out
true.
and meeting the people in our community locally.
Mm.
And some of this, like I was in Nashville back when some of the DVD and all that kind of stuff stopped, and CDs stopped.
Yeah, yeah.
They had to reinvent the whole industry, and what did they do? They went out and started making money more on singing live, so
Yeah, yeah.
on concerts. So there's always a way. Like if we just think about what do we need as people, we need food, you know, we need good quality air, we need good quality water. No one's even trying to. There's probably more we could do for creating better air filter, water filter, the whole. I've thought
Totally,
about
yeah.
that kind of thing. There's still there's business in the chaos
Mm,
that can be done and needs to be done. And if we don't, we got to find our efficacy where we can find it. Like what else we're
mm.
going to do?
I mean,
Uh,
it's funny you talk
you know,
about, control and, um, people who's controlling what, et cetera. I don't know if you noticed, but, they cancelled in the UK, the O2 Wireless Festival because Kanye was, like, the main person on it because they wouldn't let him in the country.
oh, I
Um,
didn't know that.
which again, it all comes
Why?
back to control and people saying, "What?" Yeah, they cancelled. It was only last week that they had to cancel the whole event because Kanye wasn't gonna be allowed in the country, basically.
Is it because you just don't know what's going to come out of his mouth? That's interesting.
Well, I guess so. I think they just don't like what he said previously. I'm not a big Kanye West fan or anything like that, but I am pro free speech. I think it's kind of to me, it's kind of crazy someone can't be allowed in the country because of something they've said. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Kanye fan. I don't know, just something
Mm,
about not being allowed to free travel around countries because of some ridiculous things he said, which are horrendous. Don't get me wrong. Um, I don't know. I just don't know if that freedom of speech and freedom of travel should be mixed.
mhm.
Personally,
We could keep everyone who's doing the great of kids that they could be not allowed to travel. Let's do that instead.
yeah, that'd make a lot more sense,
Uh,
wouldn't it?
it would
That would
make a
make a lot
lot
more
more
sense.
sense. It would
Yeah,
make a
yeah,
lot more sense. Yeah.
yeah. Crazy. It
I
is
do try
crazy,
to
isn't
I
it?
try to keep this so PG, but it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, so yeah, I know. For me, I feel like I'm bringing them up. I might have to stop. Yeah,
Yeah.
mm,
Anyway, well, Toby, thank you. So, if people want to reach you, listen to some of your things, because it's time to let's get back and grow a business because we're,
yeah,
there's some power in that. What do they do? How do they find it?
yeah. Just theleadlab.com, www.theleadlab.com. And yeah, we'll get some links sent over, Mary, so you can put if someone wants a free LinkedIn health check, look at their profile, look at their messaging, data, whatever, they can book in directly and do that with us totally free of charge, or they can go to the website and join the webinar for the next one, which we actually have one this afternoon. So the next one will be in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, the LinkedIn health check. I love that.
Yeah,
So
happy
what do
to
you do?
help.
You look at you look at their
So they can
page
show us
and
their profile. They might be doing some messaging already. It's a lot about questions. Like if they've been doing something already, they might have used some like LinkedIn software themselves to do some automation, and they've got questions about that, and we'll help them, or their messaging journey, or what we think they should do, or yeah, it's always unique to the client because the client sort of sat there in their world doing some LinkedIn
Mhm.
outreach or not, as the case may be, thinking about it, and they're just not really sure where to start. The webinar is going to give them a lot of tools on how to start if they want to, or how to get better if they're already doing it. Um, and the one-to-one is just really, it's rather than just sit through the webinar and ask questions through the webinar. We try and answer all the questions in the webinar, but we get between 400 and 500 people every single time we do it. So it's quite
Oh,
hard to answer all
okay.
of them. And also, just a one text message question is not necessarily nuanced enough for us to really help people. So we have a team of 4 people capable to take the free LinkedIn health check. So that's what they're there to do, to help people, and potentially if they want to work with us, great. If they want to recommend us after that to someone else, that's great too.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thank you, Toby. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time and for sharing the wisdom with everyone. And you all go check out the Lead Lab. I did try to look at your website, and I looked up Lead Lab, and that is not
Yeah.
you. It is the Lead Lab.
The lead lab, yeah.
I I
.com.
figured it out.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, great.
So,
Thanks very much for
all right.
having us, Mary. I really appreciate it. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the chat as well.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. All right. Thanks, Toby.
Cheers. See you later, Mary. Bye.
Did you like that? You can watch more episodes here, subscribe over here. We actually have new episodes with awesome guests every Thursday, so check back in. Is that all?